will another storm appear? Now, as we all know from the previous Life is Strange, when Max uses her powers to rewind, she ends up causing a butterfly effect which results in the creation of a storm. It's not until Chloe dies, or if she dies in your playthrough, that time will go back to normal and the storm will disappear. Now, we can assume that this is going to happen in the next game. We've already seen the detective sees an alternate version of himself, and we see Max and this other girl looking in the sky. There are big black clouds with two moons, a red and a blue. Now, we can make the argument that there won't be a storm at all. What's going to happen is that, like the detective seeing his other self, people all around Colden University are going to see alternate versions of themselves. And this is going to start breaking reality. And it could possibly mean that at the ending of the game, Max has to choose one of the two timelines. Now, I theorize that in the timeline where Sophie is dead, that's where Max will have the romance options, which is Moses and Amanda. But if she wants Sophie alive, then she's going to have to potentially sacrifice, if she's romanced Moses or Amanda, she's going to have to sacrifice them, destroy that timeline completely, so Sophie can stay alive in the other timeline. Poor Max, just because I see people say that the Sacrifice Arcadia Bay is canon, and they say, and other people say, oh, since we don't see Chloe, she and Max might have split, part ways, and I just don't want to think about that. But with the Sacrifice Bay ending, it is sad if that happens. Poor Max can't find love at all. Now, if this doesn't happen, and we can assume that it's going to be a storm type event, what can we expect? Well, I think I have the answer. I think what's going to happen, if it's not the timeline, if it's not reality breaking down because there are two timelines, I think that there's going to be a tsunami. Now, a moon affects the ocean. You know, the closer it is, the further away it is, it can change the tide of the ocean. So what's going to happen when there's two moons? And if you take a look at the trailer and we see the moon, two of them, they're both moving, and it's a bit, now I don't know if they're moving forward or back. It could be a trick, they could be showing us footage but it's in reverse, so we don't know what the real answer is. But if they're coming closer, then that's going to be trouble. Now, I won't get into too much detail about how a tsunami works, but think of getting a rock and dropping it in a pool of water. See, what happens is when you do it, the water's going to move out a lot more quickly than if the wind were to blow it. And because when you threw the rock, it's going to cause the water to splash up. That's what can happen with a tsunami. They can be caused by a number of different ways: underwater earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, but most importantly, human events. And what is Max doing in this game? Shifting between two timelines, causing this tsunami to happen. Now, while it may not be a tsunami, I do think the two moons, if Max doesn't break reality, then the catastrophe that's going to happen in this game, it's something to do with the water. Maybe the two moons are going to cause the ocean to rise and completely sink Colden University and kill everyone in it. Think, if you've ever played, I believe it's God of War 3, after Kratos kills Poseidon, you see the oceans rise up and sinks everything. Now, I don't believe it's going to be to that level, but I do believe if it's not a tsunami, if it's not reality breaking, then the entire place is going to be submerged in water. And I gotta be honest, at this point, if I was in this situation, I'd be like, nah, screw that. I'd take the storm out of any of these possibilities here any day of the week. Will this game have DLC? Now, ever since Life is Strange Before the Storm, we have been able to play DLC that takes place before the events of the main game. Now, technically, Life is Strange 2 did this, and it was with The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which I don't consider it DLC as it came out before Life is Strange 2. And it doesn't take place before the events of Life is Strange 2, merely during episode 2 of Life is Strange Season 2. And as much as I love the Farewell DLC and the Wavelengths DLC, the Captain Spirit add-on, whatever you want to call it, was pretty unique for what it did. You made choices in that game, and then when you played Life is Strange 2, you would see how those choices affect the environment around you. And I would love to see Deck 9 do something very similar to this. Now, what can we expect from DLC if it's ever made? Well, naturally, the first thing that comes to mind is we get a DLC that's similar to the bonus episode in Before the Storm. Now, like the bonus episode, this DLC could take place before the events of the main game, and I think it would be very interesting to see what Max has gotten up to before the events of Double Exposure. And it'll be very interesting to see her with Chloe again, or see her by herself. We know that for the past few years she's been living a nomadic lifestyle, never finding a place to call home, just always on the move, taking pictures. But you know what they say, home is where the heart is, so is Max truly homeless? Now for me, that's just wishful thinking. Get one last adventure with Max and possibly Chloe, depending on your choice. What I think would make more sense is to have DLC where we play as Safi. And this could take place when Max first comes to Colden University. And it'd be interesting to see what Max was like, and who knows, maybe if you have Chloe with you, she drops off Max there. Now obviously that can't happen, as Safi only sees Chloe in Max's wallet, like she pulls out the photo and asks Max who she is. So if this were to happen, it would have to be in the Sacrifice Bay ending, and I believe towards the end of the DLC, if we're playing as Max, who also, we could play as Max the first time she ends up at Colden University, and it could start with Chloe just dropping her off, and then the two go their separate ways. Maybe Chloe's doing her own thing, we know she's pretty smart, she could be a mechanic, maybe she's getting into some science stuff, being an artist, perhaps, who knows. But playing as Safi makes more sense. Hell, it could even be long before Max shows up. Maybe a month before she shows up, and we get to explore the university, talk to all these characters, get to know them, see what's going on, and perhaps what could lead up to Safi being murdered. I think that'd be pretty interesting. It's like, oh, so this thing in the DLC is why Safi was killed in the main game. But this is just all speculation at this point, so we'll have to wait and see. Is Max being framed for Safi's murder? Now, the whole point of Max being able to shift between realities is because the murder is supposedly impossible to solve. There's no footprints, there's no murder weapon, and all we have is Max's word saying she found Safi dead. Now, if you go back and look in the trailer, it looks as if there are a few scenes where Moses is looking at Max, and I think he believes that she had a part in Safi's murder. Because look at it from Moses' point of view. He sees Max lying on the ground, obviously he's worried. Then he sees her run off. He starts to go up and follow her, hears a gunshot. And when he finally finds Max, he sees her crouching over his best friend's now dead body. And I'm on the fence about the detective, because at the one hand, I can see from his point of view, there's no evidence pointing to another killer. Everything is pointing to Max. That's why I think that option is going to be important. That is where you see him holding out a card, I assume it's his contact information, and Max can agree or disagree to take it. And we can even see Moses in the background looking like Max. He's still suspectful of Max. Now, once we show him our powers, Max's ability to switch between realities, then obviously he's going to realize that Max is telling the truth. but how we prove it is another story entirely. Quick version, I think what's going to happen is Moses might say, okay, I got this thing here, it's locked in a safe. If what you're saying is true, go to the other reality, here's the combination, and get it. And so Max will do something like that. She'd come back and go, okay, Moses, here it is. He'd look confused. He'd open his safe and see that it's still in the safe. Max has brought a copy from a parallel universe, and that's he'd be like, oh my god, you're telling the truth. Because whenever Max uses her rewind, she always keeps whatever she's holding in her possession. Take Frank Bauer's keys, for example. Once we get his keys, we rewind, he has no idea that his keys are missing. Now, this theory does have a few problems, one of which, who'd want to frame Max for Safi's murder? Now, I do have one character from Life is Strange 1 that could be doing this, but it's going to be in my 1 hour video, so I don't want to spoil it here. Can we customize Max's cat? Now, as I was going through the reveal stream again, I noticed that this cat and this other cat I saw right before Max switches timelines, they're two different colors. Now, it's noted that we can keep the cat, but can we customize it? Perhaps when Max switches realities, it's the same cat, but just with a different color scheme. Now that to me seems a bit ridiculous. I like to think since we're able to customize Max's clothes, we should be able to customize the cat, no? Now, I don't know about you, but customizing the cat is really the last thing I care about. I'm more interested in when I'm customizing Max, we see that you can give her blue hair. I'm wondering if I can go the way of Before the Storm and just give her the little blue streak in her hair. As you can see with the spooky outfit pack, Max's hair is completely changed. Yet if we look at the Decades outfit pack, it's only around the sides that Max's hair is changed. So I'd like something like that for Max, you know? That way it shows that she still symbolically carries a piece of Chloe with her if you do the Sacrifice Arcadia Bay. Because that's the style I want to do for that Max in that playthrough. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed all these theories being put into one video. Speaking of that one video, I got the votes in, and it seems that a lot of you want me to do that 1 hour video. Now, I finished one of my videos, it's 20 minutes long. The next one I'm nearly done, and the third one I'm hoping to get done in a few days. Now, I don't know if I can make it a whole hour. If I can get to the 50-minute mark, that's good too, or even make it as long as the live stream. But I do want to make a long video. There is some stuff I want to talk about. I want to sit down, go over it. But anyways, I hope you do enjoy this video, and please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.